Now, as soon as Job starts to defend himself, he puts God at a disadvantage. Look at 1 John chapter 1, verses 8 and 9. 1 John chapter 1, verse 8 and 9. This is what we read. If we claim to be without sin, we deceive ourselves, and the truth is not in us. And in effect, that's what Job is claiming. He's a very self-righteous man. If we claim to be without sin, we deceive ourselves and the truth is not in us. And verse 10, if we claim we have not sinned, we make him out to be a liar, and his word has no place in our life. It's not right, when we don't understand what's going on, to put God on trial. But here again is another flash of insight, and it's chapter 16, verse 19 to 21. Chapter 16, verse 19 to 21. It's another heart cry for an advocate. Even now, my witness is in heaven. My advocate is on high. I wonder how he knew that. My intercessor is my friend. As my eyes pour out tears to God, on behalf of a man, he pleads with God, as a man pleads for his friend. What a revelation! A flash of insight. Another heart cry for a mediator, an intercessor, an advocate. Even now my witness is in heaven. My advocate is on high. My intercessor is my friend. As my eyes pour out tears to God, on behalf of a man, he pleads with God, as a man pleads for his friend. Now we've seen how his comforters have been winding him up. He is not a secret sinner. He is not telling lies. He is not a hypocrite. He is not being punished for his sins or anyone else's sins. He is not being let off lightly. All their explanations are inadequate. Job's righteousness, now learn this, Job's righteousness got him into trouble, not his unrighteousness. And here again is a great flash of faith. Chapter 23 and verses 8 and 9. Oh, you know it, you've used it. God has spoken it into your life too. Chapter 23 and verse 8 through to 10. But if I go to the east, he is not there. If I go to the west, I do not find him. When he is at work in the north, I do not see him. When he turns to the south, I catch no glimpse of him. Here's a man who's lost God. God's disappeared. Where is he? North, south, east, west. I can't find God. But he knows the way that I take. When he has tested me, I shall come forth as gold. My feet have closely followed his steps. I have kept to his way without turning aside. Learn this. When you go through these dark times and you say, I don't know where God is, know this: God knows where you are. It's not where you are that matters so much as who you are with. When the psalmist walked through the valley of the shadow of death, what mattered was that someone was with him. Thou art with me. If we turn back to chapter 2 and verse 11 to 13, when Job's three friends, Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite, heard about all the troubles that had come upon him, they set out from their homes and met together by agreement to go and sympathize with him and comfort him. When they saw him from a distance, they could hardly recognize him. You see, he was so repulsive. He looked different physically. They began to weep aloud, and they tore their robes and sprinkled dust on their heads. The first impression was that they were grief-stricken to see what calamity had occurred in their friend's life. Then they sat down on the ground with him for 7 days and 7 nights. No one said a word to him, because they saw how great his sufferings were. But if you then turn to chapter 16, you see that helpful coming alongside didn't continue. Chapter 16 and verses 4 and 5, and Job says to them, look, if the roles were reversed, I'd be dealing with this circumstance better than you are. He says, I also could speak like you if you were in my place. I could make fine speeches against you and shake my head at you, but my mouth would encourage you. Comfort from my lips would bring you relief. If the roles were reversed, I wouldn't kick you when you're down. That's what you've been doing to me. I wouldn't put the boot in if the roles were reversed. I would speak words of comfort to you and bring relief. Well, finally now in this session, Eliphaz is a debater. He says nothing new. He's playing the same old record, and it's stuck in a groove. Bildad, he produces proverbs and epigrams from the past. He's the traditionalist, but nothing throws new light on Job's situation. Zophar, all he can say as a legalist is that God works according to law and order. He knows nothing of grace. So these three preached condemnation to him. They're trying to put down their formulas, but they are built on wrong premises. A statement can be absolutely true and yet have no application to